My fiancée made a face. I said yes when my ex asked me to marry her, so I kicked her out. But when she found out that her ex was cheating on her, she came back to me, and I taught her a lesson she will never forget. Okay, folks, everything is going to take a while, but I need to get everything off my chest because what the hell just happened to my life? I work as an electrician and I'm 31 years old. I've been doing it for almost 8 years. The pay is good and the job is consistent. Was engaged to Sasha, a 29-year-old woman who works as a physical therapist at a premium sports medicine clinic in the city. We had been together for 4 years and had been living together for the last 2. We got engaged in February. After that, everything seemed good. Began to chat about plans for the wedding. She envisioned a grandiose church wedding in the fall following year, with the reception at a country club. I was fine with it. My folks really liked her. She appeared to like me. Everything is going as planned. But then this occurred. I'm working on a job site all day, putting in new electrical wiring for an office building in the city. It was a long day of grimy work, crawling through ceilings, and dealing with old wiring that should have been updated years ago. Got home at about 6 o'clock. Craving nothing more than a hot shower and some meal. They were covered in dust and insulation. It was strange that Sasha's car was in the driveway because she generally stayed late on Tuesdays to do paperwork for the office, have a monthly meeting with the other therapists, or do invoicing. I never really paid attention to the little things. I stepped in and saw her sitting on the couch in her work clothes. She looked different, thrilled, and nervous. That look folks acquire when they have news to tell you but aren't sure how you'll respond. Like when someone wins the jackpot, gets a promotion, or is pregnant. When I set my tool bag by the door, she said, "Alex, can we talk? I need to tell you something." That tone, the tone women get when they're gonna drop something big on you. Okay, what's going on? She took a deep breath and hit me with it. Jonathan asked me to marry him today just like that. No setup or explanation, just right to the point. I laughed because I assumed she was joking. Something strange that happened at work or something she saw on social media. But she wasn't smiling. She was simply looking at me with a serious look on her face, waiting for me to say something. That was when my intellect started to catch up. Jonathan, her boyfriend from high school about 10 years ago. I had heard rumors about him throughout the years, but I thought he was long gone. She informed me she'd been seeing her ex for a while when I asked her when she started seeing him. I met with him, not ran into him at the shop or heard from him on Facebook. Meeting similar anticipated scheduled meetings since March. She said 2 months. She had been surreptitiously meeting her high school ex for 2 months after we were engaged. She said yes when he proposed, even though I was working extra hours to cash for a wedding ring. We were looking at places and talking about our future together. Felt like someone had hit me in the chest. I was just sitting there, looking at this woman I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. This woman was wearing my engagement ring and informing me she'd said yes to another man's proposal. Everything that happened in the last 2 months finally made sense. The late nights weren't about taking care of patients. She was going to see Jonathan. The hidden phone calls had nothing to do with work. She was having a conversation with Jonathan. The new clothes and makeup weren't for work. She was putting on clothes for Jonathan. The emotional distance didn't mean I was having second thoughts about getting engaged. She was in love with someone else. I said, "Alex, take off my ring." "Let me explain." "Take off the ring, Sasha." She gingerly took it off her finger and put it on the coffee table between us. 3 months of my pay just sitting there like it didn't matter. "You have 1 hour to pack your things and leave." "Alex, please, let's talk about this." 1 hour. She tried to explain, but there was nothing to convey. She had made her choice and it wasn't me. I called my sister while I was in my truck, my hands quivering with fury and astonishment. Evelyn wanted to come over, but I just wanted Sasha to leave. I needed her to leave my house, my life, and my future. She stepped outside with 2 suitcases 45 minutes later and tried to tell us that we could still be friends. She drove away after ruining 4 years of my life for a walk down memory lane in high school. That was it. One conversation ended 4 years. I went back inside, and the home felt absolutely empty, as if all the vitality had been drained out of it. The ring was still on the coffee table where she had left it. I picked it up, put it back in the box, and put it in my dresser drawer. I didn't know what else to do with it. The next few days were really hard. I took a day off work because I couldn't focus on anything that had to do with electricity. I almost shocked myself twice on Tuesday because my mind was completely elsewhere. It's not simply dumb to become distracted when you're working with 480 volts. It's not safe. My boss sent me home after I almost walked into a ladder for the third time. The house felt like a grave. There was a remembrance of Sasha in every corner. Her coffee mug was constantly in the cabinet. The blanket she likes best is still folded up on the back of the couch. Things you don't notice until someone leaves and then they're everywhere, making fun of you. But this is where things truly go wrong. Within 24 hours, her family started to get in touch. The first thing was a text from her mom. "Alex, I know this is hard, but Sasha has found the one for her. Jonathan has always been the one she loves the most. I hope you can understand and be happy for them. Be pleased for them. She wants me to be delighted that her daughter left me for a high school recollection after 4 years of my life." Then her dad called and left a long voicemail saying that sometimes things happen for a reason. How Sasha and Jonathan are meant to be together because they have a real history and a strong connection that stretches back to when they were kids. Stated I seemed like a nice man, but love has a way of finding a way. And this was supposed to be actual history. Like the years I spent with his daughter didn't matter at all compared to an adolescent infatuation from 10 years ago. I got a text from her sister as well. Some nonsense about how she'd never seen Sasha happier than she was with Jonathan. How they were meant to be together and how genuine love always wins in the end. Like I was the bad guy who was keeping them from getting back together, when really I was the one who was totally messed over. The worst part was how they all behaved like I should be thankful. Like I should thank them for telling me that I was only keeping Sasha's seat warm until her genuine soulmate got back. Like I should have politely stepped aside and wished them well. None of them said they were sorry. None of them said that what Sasha did was wrong. They were all just happy that she had found real love, even though it hurt other people. I blocked all of them on everything. Phone numbers, email addresses, and social media. I didn't need their bogus pity or warped logic messing with my mind while I tried to figure out what happened. But my parents were quite sad. When I told Mom the whole story, she cried. She had been excited to have Sasha as a daughter-in-law. Had already begun to think of wardrobe options for the wedding. Dad got angry and quiet. He kept asking me if I wanted him to drive over and talk to Jonathan. I had to talk him out of it. The last thing I wanted was for my 58-year-old father to get arrested for assault because he was protecting my honor or something. I liked that he was willing to fight for his son, though. During all of this, my sister Evelyn was my lifeline. She'd bring me takeaway food every few days to make sure I was eating something other than the strange stuff I had in the pantry. They sat with me while I talked about how I felt about everything. Didn't try to fix anything or give relationship advice. Just listened and agreed that Sasha was a piece of work. The best thing about Evelyn was that she wasn't surprised by any of it. She said she had been receiving strange vibes from Sasha for months, but didn't want to say anything without proof. Sasha would get this faraway expression in her eyes anytime someone brought up marriage or commitment. Like her mind was on something else. Evelyn also helped me sort through the things that Sasha left behind. It's amazing how much junk someone can collect in 4 years. Bathroom hair supplies, clothes that didn't make it into her hurried packing session, and books and magazines all over the house. We put everything in boxes and I took it to her sister's house without saying a word. Eventually, doing things like SAB helped me forget about stuff. My coworkers realized something big had happened, but they didn't ask. It was great that construction workers don't like to talk about their feelings. It took nearly 3 weeks for the engagement announcement to come out. Some park downtown has professional images. Both of them appear really happy. Her ring was obviously bigger than mine, which shouldn't have troubled me, but it did nevertheless. Had to outdo the ex-fiancé even though his own relationship had fallen apart. The comments on that post were even worse. It was meant to be. Love always finds a way. I'm so glad you two found each other again. It was like they were celebrating a lovely love tale instead of the end of my relationship. I started to think that maybe I had been lucky. Someone who could toss away 4 years of their life for some high school memories definitely wasn't ready to get married. Still ached like crazy. Evelyn kept telling me that this revealed everything about Sasha's character and nothing about mine. She said I deserved someone who wouldn't even think about leaving, let alone actually do it. I'm glad I found out before the wedding instead of 5 years and 2 kids later. Someone who considered commitment as something important, not something that could be thrown away when a better opportunity came along. She was correct. But rationality doesn't make it hurt less when someone you care about decides they don't want you anymore. I stopped using social media after the engagement announcement. I thought that whatever happened next in their fairy tale relationship wasn't my problem anymore. I had to focus on putting my own life back together instead of seeing them construct theirs on the rubble of mine. Things have been going well for the previous few months. Work has been steady. Got some good side gigs that pay well. After the whole engagement catastrophe, I finally got my mind back on straight. I got a text yesterday that made me wonder if I was living in another world where everyone has gone crazy. Sasha, the lady who ended our 4-year romance for her high school ex, had the nerve to ask me for money for their wedding. I mean it. This is so crazy that I need to break it down since I'm still trying to figure it out. On a Tuesday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't know. I had blocked Sasha on everything months ago, so it took me a second to remember who she was. It looks like she either obtained a new phone or borrowed someone else's to call me. At first, the message seemed harmless. Hey, Alex, I hope you're doing well. I was wondering if we could chat about something that matters. I wanted to remove it and block the number right away. It's never a good thing when an ex reaches out, especially if they left you for someone else. But I was too curious, and I thought that whatever she wanted couldn't make my life any worse than it already was. I asked her what she wanted to talk about in response. The next thing she said shocked me. She mentioned that she and Jonathan were getting married next month but didn't have enough money. Asked me if I might lend them some money to make up the difference. Not by yourself, though. She just asked for money to marry the guy she left me for. I had to read it 3 times before I understood it. This woman broke off our engagement, ruined 4 years of my life, picked another man over me, and then had the gall to ask me to help pay for their wedding. The wedding that was going to be ours before she chose Jonathan over us. But wait, it gets even better. Don't worry about that. Jonathan doesn't know I'm asking you for money, her next text said. She thought that keeping this from her fiancé would make me feel better about the whole thing. I should be glad that she wasn't telling him about what we talked about. It was amazing how bold it all was. She didn't think much of me or what we'd been through, so asking me to pay for her new relationship seemed like a fair request. She seemed to think of me as nothing more than an ATM she could use when things went rough. I probably sat there for 10 minutes looking at my phone, trying to figure out if this was a prank. Jonathan might have been testing me, or her pals might have been playing tricks on both of us. But no, the tone was really serious. She really believed that I might think about doing this. I wanted to contact her and shout about how crazy this request was. She must be utterly out of her mind to think I would give her money for anything, let alone her wedding to the guy she picked over me. But it would have gotten the reaction she was undoubtedly hoping for. Instead, I asked her why she thought I would want to assist pay for their wedding. Her answer was even more surprising than the first request. She claimed we had been together for 4 years and that she knew I was a good guy who wanted people to be happy. That even if things didn't work out with us, she thought I would want her to have the wedding of her dreams because that's what nice people do. They want their ex to be happy, even if it means giving up their own happiness. It was so obvious that they were trying to manipulate me that it was almost offensive. They tried to make me feel awful about not paying for their wedding by appealing to my character, making it seem like saying no would make me a bad person instead of someone with fundamental self-respect. Then she talked about how much I'd made on some recent side jobs, which made me feel weird because how did she know about my work situation? Either she had been questioning friends of ours about me or she had been monitoring me on social media to find out how much money I had. Both choices were really upsetting. She also talked about how Jonathan's construction business was having a hard time right now, and they had already put down deposits on places and vendors they couldn't afford to lose. They said they only needed a few thousand to make things work, and she'd always remember how I helped make their big day happen. A few $1,000 to pay for the wedding that was meant to be ours with the guy she dumped to marry someone else. I finally wrote back and told her she must be crazy if she thought I would give her a single money for anything, especially her wedding. That you asked your ex-fiancé to pay for your new relationship was possibly the dumbest thing I had ever heard. Her answer came right away and exactly what I expected. She got upset and said she was only asking because she knew I cared about her happiness. That she assumed I was grown up enough to get over our breakup and help her as a friend, because evidently ruining someone's life means you should keep giving them money. I urged her to get rid of my number and never call me again. That if she didn't have enough money for the wedding, she should approach her family, who were quite supportive of her desire to leave me. Or better still, Jonathan could learn how to pay for his own wedding instead of making his fiancée beg her ex for money. She tried again, stating I was being spiteful and carrying grudges instead of moving on like an adult. She said that assisting them would demonstrate that I was really over our relationship and wanted them success. More manipulation that looks like relationship advice. I blocked the number and continued on with my day. But I couldn't stop thinking about how brave it was to ask for it. Months after ruining our relationship, she believed I would pay for her new one, as if I were some kind of charity that only cared about making her happy, no matter how she treated me. The worst part was how easygoing she was about it. No recognition of how rude the request was. You didn't say sorry for placing me in that situation. Not realizing that asking your ex-fiancé for money for the wedding wasn't normal behavior. You thought I would want to help because we used to care about each other. Like our past gave her perpetual access to my wallet anytime she wanted some additional cash. I wonder what other lines she'd be prepared to violate if she needed money. Would she ask me to watch their kids someday? Aid with mortgage payments and co-sign a loan if Jonathan's firm goes under. The entitlement is completely mind-blowing. If she thought I would pay for her wedding to another man, she didn't learn anything about me in the 4 years we were together. I know for sure now that breaking up was the finest thing that ever happened to our relationship. I can't imagine being married to someone who thinks it's okay to act this way. Fairy stories don't always end happily, it turns out. Last week, my sister Evelyn told me everything that happened. She had heard things from friends we both knew, but she waited until she had all the facts before telling me. Good choice, because this is some serious drama that I'm delighted to be witnessing from the outside. Sasha and Jonathan's blissful reunion lasted exactly 6 months before everything fell apart. Apparently, Jonathan has been cheating on her since pretty much day one. Not just one-night stands, either. Having full-blown relationships with more than one woman at a time. Guy had 3 separate girlfriends who all thought they were the only one. A wonderful piece of work. One of these Jonathans found out about the others and determined to blow up his whole business. She sent Sasha copies of their talks, pictures from their dates, and even recordings of them together. The kind of proof that makes it impossible to deny or make excuses. Jonathan didn't even bother to lie when Sasha asked him about it. He told her he wasn't ready to settle down, so she should have known that he wouldn't be faithful. That cheating was just who he was, and she should have known it from the start. But this is where things truly go wrong. The cheating wasn't even the worst aspect of this mess. They had a massive battle in his apartment about the whole situation. It started with ranting and blaming. It's normal for things to grow dramatic in a relationship when someone is caught. But Jonathan lost it all when Sasha told him she was leaving him. He grabbed her so forcefully that he left finger marks on both of her arms. He pushed her into the wall so hard that she smacked her head and got a black eye when she tried to leave. People who lived nearby heard the noise and phoned the police. Evelyn stated this wasn't the first time he'd become violent. Sasha had been hiding bruises for weeks, saying she had bumped into items or had mishaps at work. No one really observed this conduct of a classic abuse victim until it was too clear to ignore. When you think about it, the whole timeline is amazing. She left our steady 4-year partnership 6 months ago because she couldn't say no to her first love. She threw away everything we had worked for together for a high school fantasy that only she had. Instead, she got 6 months of lies, adultery, and abuse from a guy who didn't care about her at all. Jonathan spotted a chance to have some fun with his ex-girlfriend and took it. No matter what happens. As soon as the newness wore off, he displayed his true colors. I feel awful for her because no one should ever get hit, no matter how dumb their choices were. But ultimately, I feel really vindicated. She chose excitement over security and passion over trust. Her first love instead of the guy who really loved her. She received exactly what she wanted. I hope those 6 months of real love were worth ruining our 4 years together. The most insane thing is how Jonathan is dealing with everything. He's not trying to set things right or receive therapy for his anger problems. Instead, he's being a total jerk. Told pals that Sasha was too needy and theatrical, and that the relationship wasn't working for him. There was no mention of the cheating or the violence. He just paints himself as the victim of a crazy ex-girlfriend who couldn't take how free he was. A classic move of an abuser. While your victim deals with the fallout from Sasha's apparent decision to stay with her parents and face the fact that her perfect soulmate turned out to be a piece of work, you should make yourself look like the reasonable one. The same parents who were so supportive of her decision to leave me are now watching their daughter pick up the pieces of her life. Her family isn't as enthused about Jonathan anymore all of a sudden. It's funny how being cheated on and hurt can transform how people see someone's character. What happened to all those statements about real love always finding a way? The same family that was happy when Sasha chose to break up with me for her high school ex is now struggling with what happened because of that choice. When Jonathan stole someone else's fiancée, they believed he was the perfect man. Now, though, they don't think so anymore. Evelyn also said that folks had been inquiring about me a lot lately. Friends of both Sasha and myself who recall how she left and are curious about how I'm doing with all this drama. Most of them seem to understand now that I was the stable choice she tossed away for this mess. I instructed Evelyn to tell them I'm doing well and that I've completely moved on with my life, which is true. Things are going extremely well with the new person I started seeing a few months ago. Jade is not like Sasha at all, which is precisely what I needed. Jade knows about my past with Sasha, but she doesn't act uncomfortable or try to compete with me. It just admits that what happened was bad and works on making things better between us instead of bringing up past drama. It's the exact opposite of the mental tricks and emotional manipulation I used to cope with. We've been taking our time and making sure we're both ready before we make any significant choices. After seeing Sasha blow up her life for a dream reunion, I came up with a new idea. My life is very different from Sasha's right now. I'm developing something steady with someone who really wants to be with me, while she's discovering the hard way that enthusiasm doesn't endure when it's built on sometimes the best payback is just living well while your ex's life falls apart from their own terrible choices. Sasha wanted excitement and passion instead of the same old monotonous steadiness. She did get a lot of thrill, but not the type she wanted. Guess who's been trying to get back into my life ever since? Started roughly 2 weeks after Evelyn told me what happened. I got calls from numbers I didn't know on my phone. At first, I thought they were work calls or spam, so I let them go to voicemail. That was a big error. The first message was from Sasha, and she sounded like she was crying. Her voice was unsteady, and she could hardly get the words out between sobs. She said she needed to talk to me about all that had happened and that she had made a big mistake and needed my help right away. I deleted it without listening to the full thing. I didn't care about whatever difficulty she was going through anymore. 8 months ago, she chose Jonathan over me. It was her responsibility to deal with the ramifications of that choice, not mine. But the calls kept flooding in. Always various numbers. It was like she was borrowing phones from pals or using applications that give you a temporary number. Sometimes I got several calls in one day, and they always went straight to voicemail since I stopped receiving calls from numbers I didn't recognize. The voicemails got more and more desperate. She began by saying how sorry she was for everything that transpired between us. How she understood that what we had was real and wonderful, and she had thrown it away for something that turned out to be a total lie. After that, they started discussing about Jonathan and what he had done to her. How he lied to her from the start, cheated on her with other women, made her feel foolish and useless for believing in their relationship, and how he got violent when she tried to leave. She was frightened of what he may do next. The messages kept getting worse. She began to talk about how she now knew I was the decent man all along. Jonathan had taught her what genuine love wasn't, and it made her realize what she had missed when she left me. She had been so dumb to assume that teenage feelings were more significant than real adult love. Old school ways to control people. Make herself look like the victim who had learned her lesson. Make myself out to be the hero she didn't see coming. You want me to feel bad for not assisting her through this situation she made for herself. After then, the texts came saying they wanted to try again. How she knew she'd hurt me, but mistakes happen. And couldn't we get over this together? How she had changed since then. Someone who knew what was important in a relationship. Another human. The same woman who had been seeing her ex behind her back for months while arranging our wedding. The same person who picked excitement over stability and then acted astonished when excitement turned out to be deadly. The voicemail kept growing longer and more detailed. She would talk for minutes about the things she missed about our relationship, like how comfortable she felt with me, how I never made her doubt herself or worry about other women, and how she had taken all of that for granted until Jonathan showed her what the reverse looked like. She talked about our apartment and how she missed returning home to someone who was delighted to see her. She said that Jonathan's place always felt transitory and unwelcoming, like she was simply visiting instead of making a life with someone. Some of the voicemails were angry instead of sad. They said I was cold and cruel for not replying to someone who was plainly in trouble, and that I was carrying grudges instead of being mature enough to help someone I used to care about. Those ones really made me giggle. The same woman who ruined our relationship was now angry that I wouldn't drop everything to help her out of the mess she had made. Like I had to give her emotional support because she chose someone else over me. The calls also started coming at odd times. At night, when she was undoubtedly intoxicated and sad about herself. In the morning, when she would wake up and remember that her life was a mess. In the middle of the day, something made her think of our connection. The same themes, though. I started keeping my phone on mute so I wouldn't have to hear it ring all the time. Jade saw that I was growing anxious and asked me what was wrong. I told her about the calls, and she said I should just get a new number. I wanted to keep the same number because I was being stubborn. Why do I need to modify my contact information? Because my ex didn't get the hint. But Jade said that my peace of mind was more essential than making a point that Sasha would never get. She was correct. Even though I wasn't answering the calls, they were making me feel bad. It was tiring to come home to 6 missed calls and know that they were all from people imploring me to fix their lives. But the calls ceased as soon as they had started before I could change my number. It had been about a week since I heard from her, which was the longest time since this all started. I thought she might have finally understood that I didn't want to be her emotional support system. Or maybe she had found someone else to talk to about her troubles. I was wrong, it turns out. She wasn't done trying to get me to notice her. She was only changing her plans. It was very common for Jade to stay over on the weekend, so she was staying over on Saturday morning. We had been talking about her officially moving in, maybe searching for a bigger house together, taking things gently and getting things on the right track. While Jade was in the shower, I was making breakfast. Then someone started banging on my front door like there was a fire. Not knocking, but banging like the building was on fire and everyone had to leave right away. I looked through the peephole and saw Sasha and her mom standing there. Both of them looked really bad. It was evident that Sasha had been crying for a long time. Her hair was a disaster, her makeup was all over the place, and she was wearing an oversized hoodie that made her look like she had given up on life. Her mom appeared angry and determined, as if she had a purpose to address her daughter's problems. The same woman who texted me months ago to tell me that Sasha had found her soulmate was now at my door, ready to help clean up the mess that soulmate had made. I didn't let them in. They started banging on the door, getting more and more furious. I could hear Sasha through the wood imploring me to talk to her for 5 minutes. Her mom was more straightforward and said that my truck was in the driveway, which meant they knew I was home. Then Jade walked down wearing one of my t-shirts and her hair was still wet. She looked calm and joyful, which was the exact reverse of what was going on outside my door. I informed her that it was my ex and her mom who were creating all the noise. Jade walked to the door and opened it before I could stop her. The hammering ceased right away. In just 2 seconds, Sasha's face showed 5 different feelings. She was shocked that someone else answered, confused about who this woman was, and then angry when she figured out what it meant. Her mom was just as astonished, but she tried to disguise it better. Jade did a great job with everything. They were calm, polite, and firm about the fact that I was busy. just presented the facts and didn't get involved in drama or explanations. I put my hand on Jade's shoulder from behind her. When Sasha saw me, her whole face turned from worried to relieved, as if seeing me would fix all her troubles. She started right away by saying how she had been trying to get in touch with me for weeks and how we needed to talk about everything that had happened. Said she had made the biggest mistake of her life by leaving me for Jonathan. Her mom jumped right in with the soba anecdote. How Sasha had a hard time with Jonathan. How he was not who they believed he was. It's interesting how Jonathan went from being Sasha's soulmate to a scary stranger once he unveiled his actual self. The same parent who told me how perfect they were together was now acting like she had never backed the relationship. That worked out well. I kept my answers short and to the point. I don't want to get caught up in their emotional manipulation or guilt trips regarding our past. Sasha stared back and forth between me and Jade, clearly stunned that I had moved on. She inquired how long we had been together and appeared genuinely surprised that it had just been 10 months since she left me for her ex. She went through the whole thing about how what we had was real and how Jonathan was just confused and nostalgic, how our relationship had been strong and meaningful compared to her fairy tale reunion that turned into a nightmare. Not enough, not soon enough. I informed her that everything we had was in the past. It was over the instant she chose someone else over me. Her parents attempted a different way, appealing to my personality, telling me I was a decent man, that Sasha had learnt from her mistake, and asked if I couldn't forgive her. I told them that I had already forgiven Sasha for my own peace of mind. But forgiving someone doesn't mean you have to take them back. Forgiveness means letting go of anger, not giving someone a second chance to injure you. Sasha got more and more desperate and asked me why I wouldn't even think about trying again. I told her the truth because I didn't trust her anymore, because she had shown me who she truly was when things got tough. And that individual was someone who had left our relationship for an adolescent dream. I told her she wasn't confused when she tried to say she was. She was self-centered. She wanted to keep me as a backup while she looked into if Jonathan was a better choice. Sasha started to scream and beg for another opportunity, saying, "People make mistakes." I reminded her that I had given her a chance for 4 years and an engagement ring, which she had traded for 6 months with Jonathan. She said those 6 months were hard and that Jonathan was nothing like me. I told her that wasn't my concern. I didn't have to fix the problems that came from her choices. Her mom made one final effort by asking if I truly wouldn't even think about taking back someone who had realized what she had lost. I told her that Sasha didn't know what she had lost. She had come to the conclusion that her backup plan was better than her first choice. Not the same thing at all. Jade stayed right next to me the whole time we were talking. I could feel her support without her having to say anything. She was honest when they asked her questions about our relationship, but she didn't seem defensive or possessive. Sasha's fury came out in her desperation when she saw that I had moved on rapidly. I told her that I had moved on after she left me, which is what most people do when someone else picks them over them. When she tried to make me feel bad about our 4 years together not meaning anything, I told her that those 4 years had meant everything to me until she chose Jonathan over me. I saw these 2 women standing on my porch. One who ruined our relationship for a fantasy and the other who had backed that choice till it didn't work out. I would have done everything for Sasha 10 months ago, would have married her, made a life with her, and trusted her fully. She was just someone from my past who had made horrible choices and wanted me to help her correct them. I said no to them. That's all there is to it. That hurt both of them a lot. Sasha's face fell, and her mom looked like I had hit her. They waited there for another minute, perhaps expecting I'd change my mind or let them in to talk more, but I had nothing further to say. Sasha had made her choice, dealt with the results, and now wanted to change it. That's not how life works. Without saying anything further, they strolled back to their car. Jade bolted the door and shut it. They asked me whether I was okay. I was actually doing better than good. I stood there with Jade and watched my ex and her mom drive away after asking for another chance. I felt nothing but relief. Sasha wanted things to be exciting, not stable. Jonathan over me. Her first love was more important than actual love. She received exactly what she wanted. And I got what I deserved. Someone who picked me first every day without having to think about it.